Hello to you all, I'm Buhle Hlachwayo and welcome to ABSIP TV. We're here at the KPMG Wanuka Auditorium to attend the ABSIP Youth Economic Indaba 2017, where today's theme is using inclusive economic growth to alleviate youth employment. Let's see what they have in store for us.
Good morning, guys. My name is Thandokazi Boyama. I am the ABSIP UJ chairperson, and I'm glad that I won't be doing this alone. Over here, I have
Varsity. I am the chairperson for ABSIP.
I'm joined here by the Director General of National Treasury, Mr. Dondo Mokgajane. Thank you so much for joining us right here on ABSIP TV.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
To just start off, I would like to ask you, what is the current state of the economy right now and how is it negatively affecting the youth?
Look, the state of the economy is, we are in a difficult situation now. We are in a recession, as you know. Growth is not what it is. It's going to be very difficult for us to reach our 1.3 growth target as we have articulated in the budget 2017 in February. It's going to be difficult. Therefore, that means all sectors of the economy, everyone is going to be affected one way or the other. But we cannot sit back and throw our hands in the air. We have to do something. We have to ensure that we come up with programs that will ensure that we get out of this low growth trap that we're in ensuring that we do that in an inclusive way and in a way that recognizes that young people are critical and important and they must play a major role in this economy.
Right here, I am joined by the President of ABSIP, Mr. Sibongiseni Mbata. Mr. President, thank you for joining us on ABSIP TV.
You're welcome.
All right, to start off, would you please tell us a brief concept behind ABSIP? Where did it begin and where it is right now?
Well, it began in 1995 to address the lack of representation of black professionals in the financial services sector. But the organization has evolved to now struggle for transformation of the sector, for inclusive growth, but also for any other actions that the country needs to take in order to stimulate economic growth, thereby solving the problem of unemployment, inequality, poverty.
And looking at today's theme, I know the theme also involves the youth being in a very tight situation where majority of them are unemployed. How is ABSIP assisting when it comes to that particular socio-economic issue?
Well, ABSIP is not an employer, but an enabler. ABSIP has a membership base which consists of corporates, small business, black firms, but also professionals. So our role is to create a platform for networking, a platform for discussion of economic, generating activities, but also solutions on how to grow the economy and get people employed, etc.
I'm joined here by the ABSIP Executive for Student Development, Mr. Maxwell Malenga. Max, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to ABSIP TV.
Thank you, and Varsity TV, awesome being with you guys for so much time. I think you guys actually covered our first Youth Indaba, so thank you again for having us.
Pleasure's all ours. I would like to ask you, what are the aims for today's event since you are focusing on alleviating youth unemployment?
You know, the topic of youth unemployment is one that everyone is involved in, and we want to contribute to that discussion. But the importance of today is to come up with practical solutions that we can measure ourselves by, that the industry can measure ourselves by, in terms of what are we going to do about it. Because we can have a talk shop every year, right? And we want to run away from that. We don't want to have a talk shop every year just for the sake of it's June and it's Youth Month, so everyone wants to do something. We actually want to come up with practical solutions that we can be measured by 12 months down the line. When we come back again, when I have another interview with you, you need to ask me next time and say, okay, so I was here last year, how far have we gone? So all this is making sure that we're practical and we're honest to ourselves in terms of what we can do and what we can't do.
I'm joined here by the Framework Manager within the innovation space from Standard Bank, Mr. Tato Ramagaga. Tato, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to ABSIP TV.
Pleasure, thank you for having me.
All right, so I'm going to take it back to the panel discussion where you all talked about financial technology and where it is right now in South Africa and continentally speaking. I want to find out from you, as the youth, how important is it for us to think about the future in such a way that we find a way for us to fit in with the growth of technology?
Well, at the end of the day, the future presents its challenges, and we can either ride on those challenges and ride on that tide of opportunity, or we can let it wash us away. Because like I said earlier, there are many areas in innovation and in fintech where jobs might be taken away, but a lot of those initiatives will create jobs as well, and that's where we need to position ourselves in terms of thinking about our careers in the financial services sector and even going it alone in the business space.
Right now, I'm joined by the ABSIP UJ chairperson, Ms. Thandokazi Kweyama. Thandokazi, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to ABSIP TV.
It's only a pleasure, my dear, to be here, to experience this, and of course to just be interviewed by you guys, and you guys get my side of the story. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. Now let's start off. What is your role as a chairperson of ABSIP UJ?
So there's quite a lot of things that I have to do. One thing being that you really need to not be fixed in your role. Be prepared to do the secretary's position, do the treasurer's position, do everybody's position. It's just a title to it, but then at the end of the day, you are the glue. And at the end of the day, also when something goes wrong or something goes right, well, of course we all get the credit, but then when something goes wrong, then they look at you and they say, Thandokazi, what did you do?
I'm standing here with Luvuyo Manyi, who is the Executive Assistant to CEO and Head of Youth Desk at the Black Business Council. Luvuyo, thank you so much for joining us and a warm welcome to ABSIP TV.
Thank you for this time. Yeah.
All right, I see earlier on you were facilitating the first panel discussion and it had to do with funding and entrepreneurs. I would like to find out from you, how is your experience within the facilitation of the whole panel discussion?
Look, I think this was an opportunity, one, to bridge the gap between funding and entrepreneurs, because with an entrepreneurial background that I have, I actually have got first-hand experience so far as the trouble and difficulty in getting access to funding. So what we're trying to do in this whole experience during that session is to now really resolve to the bottom line of the issues, which are why it makes it so difficult for entrepreneurs. So on the one hand, some of the entrepreneurs really don't know what to do. So it became an opportunity for us to try educate them on what they could do better in terms of getting access to funding through the IDCs and the CIFA, but also then understanding what are the products available to then help these guys that are actually available right now by these funding institutions as well. So one, we didn't want to just make it a pointing fingers issue around, no, they don't give me money, they don't give me money. Let's actually get down to the solutions on what can we do better, where do the problems lie, and let's resolve for it.
And that is it, ladies and gentlemen, from the ABSIP Youth Economic Indaba 2017. I have to be honest, this has been one of the most insightful conferences I've been to where the focus is on the youth and how to alleviate youth unemployment to ensure that we're a more advanced country and continent in many, many years to come. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Buhle Hlachwayo, and until the next event.